Hello, Michelle. Happy Wednesday. We are recording today on a Wednesday, so hope you're
That's
doing well.
Thank you, thank you. I am. Lindsay, do you know anyone who is sassy and are you
Sassy.
ever sassy?
Oh, good
Uh-huh.
question, Michelle. Um, so sassy, I can be a little sassy and push back with my family, kind of push back on them and challenge them a little bit of an attitude,
Yeah.
but not really with anyone else, to be honest. And I remember Sassy magazine back in the 90s. Do you remember
Yeah.
that?
Uh Sounds familiar. I don't
Yeah.
remember it exactly.
It was like one of those teen magazines like
Yeah.
17 or like
Oh,
Teen Vogue
oh,
or
oh, I
something.
loved that stuff. The quizzes. Do you remember the quizzes? And oh my
Quizzes.
gosh, those were just the best.
We love quizzes. And we actually have a quiz right here at All Ears English. We know that we love quizzes. People
That's right.
love to know results about themselves. So, guys, by the way, go over to allearsenglish.com/fluency score to find out your English level. That's a quiz, right?
There
Cool.
you go. Very nice. I love it. So, yeah, same for me. I think everybody tends to be a little bit different around their family. I can be a little bit sassy to my dad. I
Ah,
love my dad, but it
of
happens.
course. Of course.
And then every once in a while, listen, we all have bad days, right?
Sure.
Things come out, and then, but if ever I am sassy, it always feels so bad, and I always have to apologize.
Yeah. By the way, side point. I love how you said, everyone, listen, everyone has bad days. We
Mhm,
should do another episode on listen and look, inserting
mhm.
listen and look before you say something, because I actually think it conveys confidence. And this is something I feel like I hear Obama say a lot. And
Mhm.
just certain leaders will say this as they explain something. So totally side point, but guys,
Yeah.
hit the follow button to make sure you don't miss that episode.
Yeah, look sounds
Okay.
very familiar to me, but even if we'll do an updated episode. We'll do
Yeah, we'll do it.
for
We'll do
sure.
it.
That sounds like fun. All right, so look, no, so we're gonna look, Lindsay. There's a listener
Look,
question.
Michelle, let's talk about sassy now.
Let's talk about sassy. All right, so we're gonna have some fun with this word today because our listener Sophia, who asks amazing questions, asked
Yes.
us about it on YouTube.
Oh my gosh. Thank you to Sophia. Guys, you can get your questions and your name read out loud on the show if you send your specific question into support@allearsenglish.com. You can also put your question in YouTube, but the best way is to send it right to us. That will get it straight into our document in our queue. Michelle, I'm going to go ahead and read the question from Sophia.
All
Okay.
right, here we
All
go.
right. Hi, Lindsay and Michelle. I'm Sophia, and I absolutely love your energy and your podcast.
Thank
I've been, thank you. I've
you.
been looking up the word sassy, but most of the explanations I found online feel a bit abstract. Could you give some clear examples of how to use it in different contexts? Thanks a lot. Oh my gosh, she asked great
I
questions.
know, we love you, Sophia, really. I mean, the feeling is mutual. We love you too,
Mm-hmm.
you're great, and actually the feeling is mutual. I'm gonna write that one down.
Hey,
Um,
we're coming up with lots of ideas today, Michelle. Lots of
that's right,
ideas.
it just happens like that. It's natural English. Alright, so, Lindsay, so what does sassy mean? We've been
Yeah.
throwing it out there willy-nilly.
Yeah. So sassy can have a positive or a negative connotation. So we really have to listen to the context when someone says this person is sassy or they act sassy. But it generally means that you respond to a situation or to a person with some kind of attitude, maybe an extra bit of confidence, boldness, challenging people. Maybe it's a
Mhm.
little bit of negative attitude too. It's like on the edge. You're kind of on the edge, right? You're
Yeah.
challenging, you're pushing boundaries in a way.
Right, exactly. And in the negative context, it kind of gives this idea of rudeness.
Yeah.
So for example, I don't think you need to be sassy with me. I just asked you a simple question.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is a teenager. And specifically, this is one thing that I struggle with in language. Well, what do you think, Michelle? Is this used more to describe like women or men
Mhm.
or both? What's your opinion? Being
Mhm.
honest. Like when
Yeah,
you
no,
think
I think
about saying someone is sassy, would that be that you describe a guy or a girl more often?
yeah, I would say more often it is used to describe a girl.
Yes.
And that's funny. I don't know if I wrote that later in the episode, but yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely I was thinking about that too. And
Yes.
that's unfortunately, I think you
Yeah.
hear it more in that way.
Yeah, and that's a really important point to raise. I want to raise early in the episode. The word sassy has like a mixed connotation. It could be good, it could be bad, but I think
Mhm.
the equivalent when we describe a guy would be confident or
Mm.
something that might have a more positive connotation. So I just want to like just throw that out there because I know our listeners are deep thinkers and gender is very much in language, right?
Yep.
So just think a little bit about that. What are the equivalents in your language and how are they gendered? And it's good to push back on these assumptions and maybe we use this to refer to a guy to challenge the ways of thinking, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it can be used about a guys on it. I think it is, but in more of I don't know, kind of a jokey way, you know?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's really interesting. It's really fascinating. So let's keep going, but I just want to raise that for
Good
our
point.
listeners to think
Yep.
about that throughout the episode. Like, who are we talking about here? Usually it's a woman, generally. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So here we go. Here's another example. My dog is a little bit sassy when she meets other dogs. She's more of a people dog. And see, I even chose a dog,
A
a girl
female
dog.
dog. Isn't that interesting? Oh my God.
Mhm.
And the Sassy magazine was a teenage girls magazine.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
Or
fascinating. Yeah.
you might just hear somebody say, "Don't be sassy," if they're next
Mhm.
to you
Don't
when
be
they're,
sassy with me. Right, exactly. It's a great word though, I love it. So it doesn't always have to be a bad thing, right? It can mean confident, right? So knowing what you
Mhm.
want, saying what you want. I love this coat on you. It's so sassy. What would that look
Mhm.
like, Michelle? What would that coat I mean, you know what I mean? It's kind of
It
put
would be
maybe
loud, probably a
yeah,
loud colors or
a
just an
loud
interesting
color.
design, not just like a regular black coat, right?
And maybe to give a little more context, it would be especially meaningful if that person maybe tends to wear more plain, like non-loud clothing, and then they put on this
Mhm.
jacket and now it's really sassy on you because
Mm.
it's a counter to what you normally wear, right?
Right. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
And this is also interesting. And I did this kind of purposefully actually when I was planning it. So notice he's so fun and sassy. I love
Okay.
his whole vibe. So
You
how I talked about
yeah.
sassy for a guy is a lot of the times used maybe sarcastically
Yeah.
or just in a more of a positive way.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was
Mm.
thinking about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really interesting. Yeah, I love it. Wow, there's a lot. Language can be so incredibly profound if we really think about it on a deep level, Michelle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, we use this word to poke fun at someone, to show sarcasm, but it can be serious if someone is acting in a way that isn't pleasant, which we'll look at in just a second, right, Michelle?
Yes, yes.
Okay, we are back. So what else, Michelle, do we need to know here?
Yeah, well, I also wanted to bring up the word bossy,
Yeah.
because it kind of reminds me of sassy, and it's another kind of gendered word, right?
Mhm.
So because a lot of times women, they might be described as bossy, and men aren't thought of as in the same way. Like a bossy woman, a lot of times it had been thought of to be a negative thing, right?
Yeah, like a bossy woman would the equivalent of that would be like a confident man or like a
Mhm.
a man who's in charge, right? That is yeah, this is there's gender all over this, Michelle.
There's
Yeah, and we want
gender
to push
all
back
over
on
this.
it and challenge it for sure. For sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So bossy is another thing that people say. And then there's also another word you could use as feisty.
Yeah, I love this word. Oh my gosh, how do you spell this? If our listeners don't, they should have the transcripts if they listen in the
Yeah.
app with the premium membership, but if they don't, how do we spell it?
Feisty. So not kind of not that intuitive. So but it's
No.
pronounced feisty.
Yeah, so here's an example. She's been kind of feisty lately. I think it's the group of friends she's hanging out with. Yeah, I mean, especially for like teenagers or younger people, we can be easily influenced by our social circle,
Yeah.
right? So I could see this for sure. Saying you say that maybe about your teenage son or daughter, just about their social group, right?
Right. Right,
Mhm.
right, exactly. Another similar one, this is slightly different, but it's spunky.
They are
Feisty,
really
spunky, yeah.
spunky, such unique style and just so confident. So this is less about attitude and it's more about probably energy, don't you think?
Yeah, 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 maybe what they wear, how they
Yeah.
act, like,
Mhm.
just like a
Mhm.
little bit different, kinda cool, right?
Yeah, whereas sassy, on the other hand, is I think more of challenging people. Someone challenges people,
Right,
they push the boundaries,
right.
maybe they have an attitude. This is more like spunky is energetic and unique and confident and, a little bit different. Slight differences in meaning here. Okay?
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Or I think of sassy. Do you ever, call to make a doctor's appointment and the person who answers the phone and then you're kind of scared of them because they're not that nice, they might be a little sassy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, for sure. I think I had an interaction like that recently. But but
Really?
but actually you see a lot of it's interesting for New Yorkers. You see a lot of this in New York, but then it turns out that people are such kind-hearted people. They just appear sassy, right?
Yeah,
I don't know, like the people where in your coffee shop or in Walgreens down the street or something. It's a New York thing. People are sassy, people are unapologetic, but if you actually have a conversation, they're the nicest people. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I
You're
love
a New
them.
Yorker. You know it, Michelle. You know
But
it.
I'm glad you brought up that word unapologetic because that is our next word.
Mhm.
And that's a little different, and we could do a whole episode on that. But it's this idea of, sometimes you people might find you as being like too direct, or they might even think you're sassy, and you're just being unapologetic. You're
Mhm.
not apologizing for anything, you're direct, right?
Yes, I love it. It's so true. Unapologetic. You're direct. Exactly. 100% agree. So here's a sample sentence. He's not rude. He's just unapologetic when talking about what he expects. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna do one more, and this one I think is one of the most common ones, actually. And Lindsay, you kinda touched on it at the beginning, which was to have an attitude.
Mhm, mhm. So, for example, sometimes he's nice, but he also has an attitude sometimes for no reason. Yeah,
Yeah.
that can be quite disquieting, I guess is the word, or like destabilizing in terms of like when you talk to
Yeah.
someone who's kind of up and down and you kind of know that how they're acting towards you isn't about you. It's
Yeah.
just that they're a little unstable, like they're a little moody, but they kind of I don't know, it's just it can be a little I don't know, like awkward
Yeah.
and not build confidence in the relationship.
Right.
Don't you
Right.
think? Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary. You don't wanna be the person that people are afraid of, right? Or at least I don't.
For sure.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, to have an attitude, when you say somebody, I mean, because somebody can have a good attitude or a bad attitude, but if you say
Uh,
somebody has an attitude,
it's a bad attitude.
it's a
Yeah.
bad attitude.
Yeah, it's
So,
not a good
yeah,
one.
not
No,
a good one.
yeah, the opposite of that. "Hey, he has a great attitude about this," right? No,
Right.
you have to put great in front of attitude, but if you say he has an attitude, it's bad. So that's
Yes,
interesting too. So that's an
it is
important thing to
interesting.
note down. We got a lot of
It
good
is.
insights today, Michelle.
It is. So, Lindsay, so would you say overall sassy is more of a good thing to be called or not so good?
I think these days it's a good thing
Mhm.
because I think that society, well, let's see. Well, this is also cultural too, right? So I think that in American culture, it's kind of good to be seen as someone that pushes back
Mhm.
unless it becomes problematic and you can't get along with people. But a little
Yeah.
sass is not a bad thing, in my opinion. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so too. I mean, we don't wanna be rude to people, but it's sassy in the context of confidence and, being unapologetic. I think that's good.
Yeah. We're a culture that really encourages being different, being unique, pushing back, like finding new frontiers in a way, kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
trying new trends. So sassy kind of gets pulled into that category a little bit, I think.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
agree. I agree. All
Okay.
right, should we do a role play?
Let's do it, Michelle. So here we are friends talking about people we went to high school with. Oh, my best friend from high school just texted me the other week and she said our 25th, is it 25th? 25th anniversary is coming up this year or next fall. And she said, "Are we
Yeah.
going? We should go. Let's go together." I'm like, maybe
Yeah.
actually. I mean, it's been so long that it could be legitimately interesting, right? Your
Yeah.
fifth and your 10th year, it's like, oh, it's too long, but 25th.
That's a while.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I'm doing the math. It's right. It's
I know,
right.
I'm also thinking of mine. Yeah.
So, anyways, that will be interesting. I'll let you know if I go. I'll share stories
Yeah. Oh,
for
yeah, that would
sure.
be interesting to talk about for
Mhm.
sure.
Alright, here we go.
Here we go. You know who I ran into today?
Who?
Laura Jenkins.
No way. Is she still as spunky as she used to be?
Yes, I always loved her style. She's so unapologetic about what she wears.
Yeah, I just didn't love her crowd. I always felt they had an attitude.
Oh, for sure. Super clicky and rude. I remember when April got feisty with me when I wore the same outfit to the school dance.
That was wild. She was always sassy.
True.
Yeah, that's a good example is describing a friend in high school that you didn't quite get along with. It was a little edgy, a little, pushing the boundaries, maybe prickly, a little
Mhm.
prickly, right? Okay, so what do we say here? So you saw Lara Jenkins, and I said, no. Is she still as spunky as she used to be? So now you're saying, like, is she still as energetic and different?
Yeah, like, generally, it
Mhm.
sounds like we like Lara Jenkins, so
Right, right, right. Mhm.
and then I said I always loved her style. She's so unapologetic about what she wears. So basically, she's her true self, right?
For sure. And then we said, yeah, I just didn't love her crowd. I always felt they had an attitude. So remember,
Bad
guys, we said
attitude.
bad attitude. When there's no bad or good, it's bad. Okay. That's
Yeah,
so weird.
right. And then I said, "Oh, for sure, super clicky and rude." And then I went to a story. I said, "I remember when April got feisty with me when I wore the same outfit to the school dance." So maybe she was a little rude and she was
Yeah.
protective over her outfit.
Yeah, and just so we're clear, what you're saying here is you wore the same outfit as her to the school dance, but we
Right,
don't have to have as her in there in casual conversation. We
right.
assume that, but I just want to make sure that context is
Yeah,
clear for
yeah,
our
yeah.
listeners. Yeah.
Good point. Good
Yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And then I said, "Yeah, that was wild. She was always sassy." And here's where she always had a little bit of an attitude, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of an attitude. Love it. Okay. Super interesting. Michelle, another episode our listeners could check out. Guys, go to 2396. What gives? English vocabulary for expressing surprise, which would
Mm.
tie into when you're talking about people's attitude, people's
Yep.
personality. It ties in nicely. Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. Definitely a good one to check out. So, yeah, takeaway from today, we talked about a lot here. I mean, we talked about how these words sound, how sassy can be good, how it can be bad. We talked about
Mm,
gender.
wow.
A
Culture.
yeah,
Yeah.
culture. Oh my gosh, we went into a lot today. But yeah, we hope that nobody gives you an attitude.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and I think what would be interesting is a little assignment for our listeners. Guys, start a conversation with someone from a different culture about what is the equivalent of this word sassy in your culture, and is it
Mm,
gendered? First of all, is it gendered? Is it respected in your culture or is it not respected? Because I have a feeling the answers are going to be different depending on where you're from. And what does that mean about your culture? Super
very
interesting.
interesting. All right, I
Yeah.
love it. All right,
Yeah.
Lindsay, thanks for leaving us with that. Very interesting. Can't wait to hear. And yeah, guys, thanks for listening. Have a great day.
All right, guys, hit the follow button for the next episode of All Ears English as well. All right, take care, Michelle. Bye.
Bye.